If you haven't had an opportunity to watch the latest episode of The Walking Dead, stop listening now, major spoilers, here we go. Tonight's episode is called Slabtown. And let's just get right into it, man. I'm really excited because this is the first time in 5 seasons that I have something positive to say about Beth. And I love this. I love it. So here we go. So Beth wakes up. She's in this facility, let's call it, because we don't know what it is until later on in the episode. But she wakes up, she's locked inside of a room. All of a sudden somebody comes in and you immediately don't trust any of these people. Okay, you get introduced to new characters. Officer Dawn Lerner, she's a police officer just like Rick. Officer Gorman, he's a police officer just like just like Shane. And you get introduced to a Dr. Edwards, who's a doctor, and then also Noah, who is Chris Rock, surprisingly. Yeah, I know, I'm saying the same thing. So everybody hates Chris, he's on the show. Very, very awesome, I'm not gonna lie. You start understanding that these people have a really sick and twisted way of I guess, thinking of the world. They think someone's going to come and save them, which we know to not be true. No one's coming to save you. The only people that I guess have an opportunity to save you is Eugene, Abraham, and Rosita. But now they're with Glenn and Maggie, on a adventure to Washington, D.C., but they haven't even got there yet, so that's like a pipe dream. But these people believe that. And they're doing, I guess, everything inside of their mind. And I'm throwing up air quotes right now. You can't see me, but they're doing everything in their mind. Air quote, just... it's so ridiculous. But they're doing everything in their mind to try to survive. And the way that they survive is... Let me just kind of sum it up. If you have a trait that can add or is a benefit to their team, they will keep you there. If all you do is eat, sleep, and shit, you're dead. Okay? If you're injured, they will attempt to save you, but it will cost you later on down the road, okay? And what I mean by that is that you will be like, I guess their slave is kind of the best way I can think of it. They're not crazy. They're not, how do you want to say, they're not like the people in Terminus. They actually, they look, not clean shaven, but groomed. Their clothes are not smelly. They have power. They have running water, seems like. Electricity. They have all the resources that you could ever imagine, okay? Inside of this post-apocalyptic walker zombie situation that's going on here. And that's what I think is fascinating, because you start seeing generators and power and electricity, and it's a game changer. There's food. There's cooked, prepared food. You're in a hospital. It's almost like it's not The Walking Dead. It's like, man, is this a spinoff? Like, is this a dream? Because I didn't know at first. I was like, okay, this has to be a nightmare. That she just hasn't woken up for it, and then we find at the end of the episode that she's dead. But that's not the case, man. It's a place, and the place is called, let me get this name right, Grady Memorial Hospital. It's in the middle of downtown Atlanta. And check this out. I'm going to fast forward in the episode just a little bit, because it's just right now, it's a good segue. Atlanta is destroyed. There is napalm all over. Like, you can see the devastation, the destruction from the attack, or I guess you can say the attempt to salvage Atlanta. So if you guys remember, there was an explosion inside the CDC. Imagine that times 20. Okay, the buildings, they have black soot. The windows are blown out. The skyline is kind of chipped and chiseled in certain areas. Some buildings are down, some are up, some are just, burned out because of all the fire. And yet, even through all that napalm, even through all the air raids, even through all of the quote-unquote, air quotes, rescue missions, the walkers are still a heavy presence, okay? They still have the city of Atlanta on lock. Do you understand what I'm saying here? What I'm saying here is that there is no hope, okay? Pretty much, go ahead and grab the Superman symbol, hold it in your hands, and then grab it and start crumbling it. And then find the nearest waste bin and toss that idea of hope inside there, because it's gone. It's over. And I guess at this point for me, I was just like, damn, like, what's the purpose of living? You know, what's the meaning behind all this? Because it makes no sense. Anyway, let me get back to that. I know, man, it's crazy. One of the best quotes inside tonight's episode is that it's easy to make a deal with the devil when you're not the one paying. This was said by this Latino Mexican chick that was brought in. Her arm was like bitten. They end up sawing it off to try to save her. And that doesn't work out too well. Let me just say that, okay? Because she wanted to die. They wouldn't do it, okay? One of the best, I guess, sentences and the best quotes, I guess one of the best lines written for tonight's episode was given by Officer Dawn Lerner, and she said this to Beth. She says, you know, you shouldn't see this as a sentence. I'm giving you food, clothing, shelter. When has any of those ever been free? So it kind of shows you their mentality, the way that they're thinking on this situation, what they're looking at. I guess what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep, I guess, civilization and the way that we always run things inside of this reality instead of helping your fellow man and just trying to work together as one big team. No, they actually have like, it's almost like, I guess, political, where they have, and no, not a dictatorship. No, I'm talking about political as far as like there's law, there's a president, you know, stuff like that. People are in charge and there's a chain of command, and if you break that, you will be punished, man. Now, what I'm thinking is that this Officer Dawn, like, she was slapping Beth, and that's when or where Beth got the scar on her face, because later on in the episode she's backhanded because of like this tantrum that Dawn had. She backhands her across like the head, and then there's another, she's getting sewed up again, okay? She's getting stitches inside of her head again. So I think that, you know, she's been abused, man. Now, check this out. The last episode that we saw Dawn in, she got taken inside of I think a blue Plymouth something, maybe a Charger, some kind of car like that, a hatchback or whatever, some type of hatchback vehicle that had a cross on the back. Well, I guess that cross is not like a cross like a preacher. I think that cross is like a cross like a medical type cross, man, except it's not red. Maybe it is like a preacher thing, but I don't think it is, because we didn't see any of that inside this episode. But what we did see is we saw that vehicle, actually identified it. They showed it as soon as Beth broke out. They showed that vehicle, man. So that kind of confirms, like, these are the people that took her. It's strange, man. It really is. But hopefully next week or whenever we're going to see another episode of Beth, hopefully they explain a lot of that, okay? Now, let's get back to the episode. I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that happened, man. Officer Gorman, man, this is kind of shows you, like, once civilization, you know, fails and the economy crashes completely and, you know, power is lost and I guess there's just no hope, these sick perverts come out. You know, they crawl out of the woodworks and they have badges and they have power or some sort of authority, and then they start raping people. This is what Officer Gorman was. He raped every single woman that came inside of Grady Memorial Hospital. He raped them. He forced himself upon them. He stuck lollipops in their mouths and twisted and turned it and then took it out of their mouth and put it back in his mouth. Think about that for a second. One lollipop, one woman, one man, disgustingly sick, man. I mean, you don't know what type of disease this dude has, but he sucked on it, put it in Beth's mouth, twisted and turned it, and then pulled it back out. I don't even want to talk anymore about that. But this dude, he got what was coming to him. The Mexican chick that came in for surgery, yeah, she bit his throat out. Like, literally chewed his throat to death. It's pretty disgusting. Noah is the one that helps Beth escape, and the reason why Noah kind of sacrificed himself for her, and when I say sacrifice, not completely, but just sacrifice himself to get beat for Beth, is just to kind of show her, you know, like, maybe he had like a connection to her because of their age, their situation, and stuff like that. And then he gave her a lollipop, he gave her clothing, and then after that helped her escape. Now, what they did with their dead, the people inside of this hospital, it's pretty sick, man. They threw all of their dead down a laundry chute into the basement, and then the walkers would pretty much just feast. All the walkers in Atlanta would come there and feast and have the Last Supper, I guess you can say. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, man. But anyway, long story short, Beth and Noah, they climb down the laundry chute. They have this first person shooter type, Call of Duty nod or whatever it is. But Beth starts shooting on these zombies and stuff and the walkers, and that's it. They escape. Now Noah, he hurts his leg when he goes in the laundry chute, and then after that he ends up leaving Beth behind. He goes to safety. He escapes to safety, and then Beth is the one that is recaptured, and now she's stuck inside of the hospital. And as she pretty much just kind of gives up and says, okay, this sucks. I figured out that you guys are all crazy. I'm going to start killing you guys. There is a gurney that's coming in, and people are like, move, move, move. We got someone that's wounded or whatever. It's Carol that's on the gurney being pulled in, and Beth sees her, and then the episode ends. It really, really fascinating stuff, man. Next week's episode comes with Dr. Abraham Ford. Dr. Abraham, that's funny. Sergeant Abraham Ford, Eugene, Rosita, Maggie, and Glenn. That answers one of my questions, and I'll make this real fast and I'll end it. It answered my question. I said, are we going to see them again? Yes, we do. We see them next week. Guys, thanks again for watching once again, or thanks again for listening. Once again, I couldn't do this without you guys. Comment, like, subscribe. Tell me what you thought about this. And for all you people out there that used to comment that I hate Beth, I don't hate Beth anymore. I think she's a great character, and I hope to see her have a long, long life on The Walking Dead, man. We're out of here.